portion of this Mass. Response from the family, and some relatives will be reading some messages and eulogies coming from the relatives in the States and other parts of the world. So can we just sit down for a little while? Most of you are friends of Arlene, and maybe some of you are co-teachers of Mama Pacita Abear-Conroy. So we'd like to thank you in behalf of the family. It's only Arlene who is here because the brother is in the States right now. And there will be a eulogy to be read by Dr. Abear, the sister of Mama Pacita. Is she here? Bebot. Bebot now will be reading the eulogy from the
morning siya, gikan ni Auntie Pacita Abear, akong auntie ng sister-in-law ni Auntie Pacita. So, morning ang iyang letter. Nang Pacita has touched our lives in so many ways. During our first year here in New York, she visited us and stayed with us for a few weeks. What I fondly remember is that we prepared a guest room for her, but it was in the first floor, since we only had one bedroom in the main floor. But she said she didn't like to have any spirits to visit her at night, so she occupied our couch in the living room. She liked to play with our dog Toby, and I caught her talking to him sometimes. That made me chuckle. We really enjoyed her visit. She was also able to visit us in Toronto, Canada, and we had fun going to Niagara Falls. What impressed me with Nang Pasing was that she was a very prayerful person, always invoking the name of God in everything she would do. I see her with her rosary in her hands and also small prayer pamphlets near her pillow, which she would read during the day. She was very proud of her two children, June and Arlene, and rightly so. I know that when I tell her she is a lucky woman to have two wonderful children, she felt very happy, and she would go on and tell us stories about them. I do feel she was very blessed to have such wonderful children. She had wonderful experiences from her travels. Always, she would have pictures of this, and she was thoughtful enough to send us copies. Just a month ago, she sent us pictures of her and her family, including her grandchildren, and we talked on the phone about it, exchanging news and updates about family. I am so glad that we had a chance to talk last month, never knowing it was the last of the many phone calls we shared. All I can say is that she was the closest to me of all my sister-in-laws. Nang Pasing, Elmer, and I love you and will miss you. Love, Elmer and Melody.
Elmer Abear, to be read by Rami Tan. Actually, he is from Cebu.
In behalf of Dr. Elmer Abear, the brother-in-law of Pacita Abear, allow me to read this letter of eulogy. Dear Tony, Arlene, and family, first, thank you for the invitation. We are with you in spirit. I have only one fond memory of many to tell you this morning, or this afternoon, I think. Otherwise, if I have to tell you about my wonderful memories of Nang Pacita, I am afraid we will be here the whole day. As she is now on her way to the other side, a new life for her forever, sketches of memories of great mother of two, Tony and Arlene, begin to unroll on my mind. These memories stands tall on my mind. I honestly find it very difficult to recall, as my eyes are weak with tears. It was her brother Emin who approached me near our house in Argao. The 7-bedroom house is still standing there, refusing to get ruined. Who asked me, "Na ba sinang Pacita?" Not exactly word, but essentially similar. And I said, "Yes." I went upstairs and asked for Nang Pasing. She went down and he had a great hearty talk along the road. Nang Pasing right arm with lovingly around the shoulder of Emin. I noticed Emin must have missed his sister, that he winked his eyes as Nang Pasing farted after the break talk. Nang Pasing was on her way, young as she was a senior high school student, on her way to a new home and a new life. She must be a very good and only sister of Emin for him to miss a lot. It was a difficult scenery, even now, as I remember. I guess Nang Pasing must have explained to him why she was in our house with Brad Cesar. I noticed that if Emin was a woman, she would exactly look like Nang Pasing. Emin was a handsome boy according to my standard. I wish I looked like him, but I was not. He was brother like Tanyong, the pilot, but none of them looked like Emin. At this time, our house in Argao, where Brad Cesar was born, and so were my 13 brothers, was peopled with 27 people, 3 married people, Emilio, Alfredo, and Cesar. As usually, they might have healthy differences, so through the month, each gracefully found their own house, sweet home around the vicinity of Argao. I remember that Brad Cesar and Nang Pasing was about 7 houses away from our own main house. I usually passed there on my way to school, and I was wondering why for 3 days Cesar and Pacita did not show up in the big house. I gathered from the subway. Tip talk about house, they said, "Naghimo ni ug bata." Today, the 2 babies are families. Nang Pasing and Brad Cesar could look down from heaven with smile. Dr. Elmer Abiar.
Pacita. Mama Pacita and I are very close. I call her Mama, but she calls me partner. Every year I would go to Manila and stay with Arlene and Rolly. And every time we have breakfast together, sometimes even after merienda in the afternoon. We just keep on talking because we are both talker. Marami kaming pinag-uusapan. And we're both very happy together. That's why when I go to Manila this December for another reunion with my office mates, I'm sure I'm gonna miss her. Especially, I go there on the first Sunday of December and her birthday falls on December 17. She usually would love to have me there to spend her birthday because we love to eat lechon. And so now, that's my fun memory about Mama Pacita. Now I would like to call on Arlene to read the eulogy June, her brother.
June, my brother, cannot come, so he wrote this letter. My mother dearest, there is a million stories about my mother, Pacita Abear, who took care of me for 58 years. Even in the throes of death before she died, last June 28, she was still half conscious after her first heart attack. She was still asking me if I have already eaten. A caring mother up to last moment of consciousness. Let me cite a few stories about this wonderful person who brought me out of this world.
That landed me in the hospital. Medical management of asthma in the 60s was not as effective as today. If I remember right, I was just more than a cough management and oxygen. During those episodes, Mama would do all she can to bribe me to somewhat my will to get better. I would be awarded with an expensive electronic toy right after discharge from the hospital. The #1 store at the time was Magno's department store. Only in my growing years did I realize that those expensive toys were a strain to our family's meager income. A mother will give everything for her children. Then in my rebellious teen years, the sickly son turned to a challenge to Mama. That time, my daily goal was to be as bad as I can. So Mama would be fixing the end results of my stupidities, talking to the police who came after me, and paying for the medical expense of the student I mauled, a son of her co-teacher. And in one occasion, sat beside my hospital bed while I drifted in and out of consciousness for drug overdose. And you know what? In all those bad times, her reprimand would just be a short word and lots of tears. Looking back, I have no words but weep. Now I know the meaning of the word grief. As I promised to keep it short, let me reminisce the last 6 years of Mama's life, where she spent 6 months in a year with me, except for one. Whenever Mama was with me in Sacramento, I gazed at her and my strong-willed aging mother. I said a promise to myself to give her the best that I can. So my mornings would start preparing breakfast and medications for her, including blood pressure and glucose monitor. Mama dreaded the putting for blood for the meter to read, and it was a drama always blaming me, saying, "Sakit mo na! Ikaw na lang ang magtusok sa imong sarili." I would take her to her regular doctor and draw blood for her checkups. The most wonderful was Sunday 7:30 in the morning masses. Mama was my queen and I was her caregiver. On the day Mama had a heart attack, triggering a stroke, I took her morning blood pressure and it was 140/64. Perfect for her age, which is even a lot better than mine. I left for work happy knowing her pressure is stable, and that week before she was seen by Dr. Larry Feliciano, a DCHS Batch 72 graduate, who was also my schoolmate. Larry was elated to see Mama in good health. I said to myself, I will have my Mama for a long time. At 6 p.m. that day, I just arrived home when Mama had her stroke and was rushed to the hospital. God's plan is always a mystery until it is before us. Mama had a second heart attack on the second day in the ICU. She had angioplasty, which was a success, but the procedure caused gastric bleeding, and the damage of the severe stroke became imminent that eventually she was declared hospice on the 7th day. Though Mama was only communicating by wriggling her left hand, I kept on telling her that Manang Arlene and Rolly were coming in a day and that she was to get well. We can be together again as a family. From San Francisco Airport, I brought Manang Arlene and Rolly to Mama. Mama was showing responses to Manang Arlene's voice. That was all that she needed. She waited for her children to be around her. We were beside her when she drew her last breath. I thank the Lord for giving us a mother like Mama. Her love for us is unconditional and ever-flowing. She lived a life dedicated to loving her children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Because of her example, I came to know how to love the generations that spawn. To Mama, it is never goodbye. For you are so alive in our hearts and memories. We love you, and in God's time, we will be together again.